Around 6 million years ago, our planet was nothing like it is today. Africa, regarded as the cradle of humankind, was then a vast landscape of dense green forests interspersed with dry savannas. Gigantic animals roamed the grasslands: ancient elephants, primitive giraffes, and fearsome saber-toothed cats. Amid this world, small creatures, part ape and part human, began a journey no one could have foreseen: the evolutionary path that would lead to Homo sapiens, modern humans. Our earliest ancestors were not strong. They lacked sharp claws to defend themselves and had no speed to outrun predators. What they possessed were only minor changes in body structure: the ability to walk on two legs, slightly more dexterous hands, and a brain that was slowly growing larger. These seemingly small shifts marked a profound turning point, enabling early humans to survive the harsh trials of nature. Over millions of years, our ancestors had to adapt constantly, from foraging in dense forests to hunting on open plains, from living in scattered groups to forming tight-knit communities, from silent gestures to alarm calls signaling danger. Each step, each change laid the foundation for the intelligence and survival instincts of modern humans. The story of 6 million years ago is not only biological history, but also an epic of perseverance. Without those first frail yet unyielding beings, there would be no civilization, no great inventions, and none of us gathered here to retell this journey. Around 6 million years ago, Earth entered a period of intense climate and environmental upheaval. It was a critical transitional moment in evolutionary history, for natural changes not only reshaped continents and ecosystems, but also imposed challenges that forced human ancestors to adapt or perish. To understand why humans came into existence, we must turn back time to the wild, unforgiving world of the late Miocene epoch. At this time, the Miocene was drawing to a close. Earth had already undergone tens of millions of years of transformation. Once warm and covered by vast rainforests, it now experienced a global cooling trend. Ice sheets expanded at the poles, especially Antarctica, altering sea levels and weather systems. The continents of Eurasia, Africa, and India gradually took their modern shapes after tectonic collisions. The Himalayas towered high, strongly influencing monsoons and regional climates. Across vast areas, tropical forests shrank, giving way to grasslands, arid savannas, and sparse woodlands. This was a turning point. As habitats changed, so too did the food and shelter available to primates. Without endless forest canopies to climb, our ancestors had to adapt to open grasslands where predators had the advantage. The world 6 million years ago was not dominated by primates alone. It was an age of giant, ferocious animals. On African grasslands, massive elephants with long tusks roamed in search of leaves, the ancient ancestors of today's elephants. Primitive horses and antelopes lived in large herds, swift and well adapted to the savanna, serving as prey for predators. Saber-toothed cats lurked in the shadows, capable of felling prey many times their size with a single strike. Early tigers, leopards, hyenas, and wolves were all apex hunters. Amid this, our small, defenseless ancestors, without claws, without speed, were easy prey. Survival seemed nearly impossible without creativity and special adaptability. Not only animals, but also plants underwent a revolution. Wet rainforests receded. Grasses thrived, forming vast prairies. Thorny shrubs grew sparsely, offering temporary shelter for primates. Food sources changed: fewer fruits, more tough seeds, roots, and young grasses. The scarcity of fruit forced early humans to diversify their diets.
They began eating tubers, seeds, and even scavenging animal remains left by predators. This dietary shift drove the development of stronger molars and larger brains, enabling them to process varied foods. Globally, climate 6 million years ago became drier, colder, and more erratic. Seasons of rain and drought grew sharper, challenging both flora and fauna. For our ancestors, this meant scarce water, requiring longer treks to find rivers and ponds. Harsh heat, forcing them to seek shade or caves. Seasonal hunger, pushing them to innovate when fruit and leaves vanished. These were evolutionary pressures, forcing primates to develop new traits. Chief among them, bipedalism, which improved visibility, allowed long-distance travel, and freed the hands. In a predator-filled world, early humans constantly faced threats, stalked from every side by hunters, competing fiercely with other species for food, risking starvation, disease, and sudden environmental shifts. Yet adversity also created opportunity. Open plains allowed better visibility of approaching danger. Freed hands enabled carrying food, picking up stones, and wielding sticks. Group living provided safety in numbers.
The world 6 million years ago was a forge of survival. The weak perished, and only those who adapted and cooperated lived to pass on their genes. Such harsh conditions set the stage for Sahelanthropus chidensis, one of the earliest known species close to humans. Without shrinking forests and expanding savannas, humans might have remained mere tree-dwelling primates, and Homo sapiens may never have existed. Thus, the brutal climate, dangerous predators, and shifting environment of 6 million years ago became the launch pad for one of the most spectacular evolutionary journeys in Earth's history. Between 7 and 6 million years ago, in the hot heart of Central Africa, small but historic changes took place. A peculiar primate species emerged, Sahelanthropus chidensis, often considered one of the earliest candidates on the human lineage. Its story is not only told through a handful of fossil bones, but also opens a window into humanity's first steps. In 2001, in the Jurab Desert of northern Chad, scientists unearthed a strange fossil skull dating back 6 to 7 million years, older than any previously known human ancestor fossil. It was named Tumai, meaning hope of life in the local language. This skull of Sahelanthropus chidensis proved that human ancestors appeared much earlier than thought, right when forests were giving way to savannas. Key features included a small brain volume, 350 to 370 centimeters cubed, similar to modern chimpanzees but slightly larger than typical primates. A relatively flat face, unlike chimps' protruding faces, more human-like. Smaller canines suggesting social and dietary changes, and a foramen magnum where the skull meets the spine, positioned to indicate partial bipedalism. This was crucial. Bipedalism was the defining trait separating humans from other primates. Though still climbing trees, Sahelanthropus chidensis likely walked upright on the ground at times. Benefits included spotting predators from afar, freeing hands to carry food, stones, or sticks, reducing direct exposure to sunlight compared to quadrupedal walking. Its early bipedalism was clumsy and slow, making them easy prey, but it was a biological revolution, laying the groundwork for all future human evolution. Their teeth and jaws revealed a diverse diet. Soft fruits and leaves from forests, energy-rich nuts, tubers, and roots during dry seasons.
Possibly insects or scavenged animal remains. This dietary flexibility was a survival advantage in unpredictable environments. Although evidence is limited, scientists infer that Sahelanthropus lived in small groups with basic roles like males defending and females raising young. Communication via calls, hoots, and gestures. Such social bonds later gave humans their evolutionary edge. There is still debate as to Sahelanthropus whether it is a direct ancestor or a parallel branch that went extinct. Either way, its existence pushes back the origin of the human lineage to 7 million years ago. Its significance? The first evidence of upright walking, the first signs of human-like facial and dental traits, the first primates daring to step from forest shade into open plains. From then on, species such as Aurorin tugenensis, Ardipithecus ramidus, Australopithecus afarensis, and later Homo habilis, Homo erectus, and Homo sapiens would follow. The lesson from Sahelanthropus: survival hinged on adaptability, creativity, and social bonds, the very traits that paved the way to modern civilization.
Reading this content is so eloquent. If you find it interesting and meaningful, please live share the video and subscribe to the channel to follow the next videos. Sincerely thank you. Goodbye and see you again.